All right, so we're going to work on area perimeter number 3. So in square centimeters, what is the area of the parallelogram? So the area formula for a parallelogram is a base times height. So the base measurement, these top and bottoms are equal. So that means that our base measurement is 9, but we still actually need to find the height. The right triangle on the outside is going to be helpful to us because what we're going to do is Pythagorean theorem. Remember, in a parallelogram, the opposite sides are equal. So if this is 5, so is this one. So in order for me to find the height, which would be represented by this vertical distance, I have to do Pythagorean theorem. So 1 squared plus x squared equals 5 squared. 1 plus x squared equals 25. Subtracting 1, I would get 24. And then the square root of 24 is actually going to be my height. I should have made that bigger. Now, obviously, looking at my answer choices, that's actually not an answer. But that's okay. What we're going to do is simplify the square root of 24. So the square root of 24 can be simplified. So I'm going to break this up into the square root of 4 times 6. I know that I'm going to bring the 9 down. The square root of 4 is 2, and I cannot simplify the square root of 6. 9 times 2 is 18, square roots of 6. So the correct answer is option A. Remember, if you don't see your answer there, that doesn't necessarily mean you did it wrong. It just means you have to look for another type of answer. So notice how our square roots are all simplified, which means I need to simplify them. All right, we're doing a modern art piece on number 2. On number 2, the modern art piece, we want to know how many tubes of paint it's going to take, which means we have to find the area of the shape. Well, this distance and this distance are equal, so the length of this full base is 2 plus 12 plus 12, which is a value of 16. So when I'm finding the area of my trapezoid, base 1 is 12, base 2 is 16, and the height is 2. So the area formula for a trapezoid is 1/2, base 1 plus base 2 times height. So 1/2, 12 plus 16 times 2 is going to give me an area of 28. Now, I don't see that as an answer, and that's because we are painting this with paint. So it says 1 tube of paint can cover 4 square feet. How many tubes of paint will we need? Well, we have 28 square feet, so I'm going to divide by 4, and I get an answer of 7. I need 7 tubes of paint to cover 28 square feet of art. So the answer is 7. Number 3, in the figure below, the rectangle, we've got BD is a diagonal. The area of one of the triangles is 6. What is the area of the whole thing? Well, this triangle, the diagonal cuts the rectangle in half. So if this area is 6, this area is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. So the answer is C. You just add the 2 areas together. We know that they're equal because the diagonal has actually cut the rectangle in half. Number 4, in feet, what is the perimeter of a square that has area of 49 feet? So the thing about a square, remember, all of the sides are equal. So instead of using length and width, I could use the letter X and X. So the area is 49, and the area is also length times width. So I'm going to replace area with 49. X times X is X squared. And when I square root both sides, I get 7. So whenever you're dealing with areas of squares and you're trying to find a side length, you can just square root the area, and that will give you the length of the sides. So all of these sides are 7. So 7 times 4 is 28, and we're looking for perimeter here, so I'm just going to add them all up. Number 5. Which of the following expressions represents the area of a right triangle with legs X and Y? So X and Y represent the legs, but that also represents the base and height. So the area formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 Y times X. Y times X are in the numerator of the fraction because these are, remembering, they're over 1. So 1 times Y times X is just XY over 2, which is option A. So there's no real different formula for area of a right triangle. It's just the area of a triangle, and then the 1/2 goes in front. Number 6, X does not equal Y. Which of the following expressions represents the perimeter of the triangle? Now, this triangle is isosceles, and I can see that I have two equal angles. The sides that are opposite the equal angles, if it's isosceles, those are called legs, and the sides are also equal. So if this side is X, this side is X. So perimeter would be adding all the sides together. So X plus Y equals 2X plus Y. So the perimeter is C. Number 7, the rectangle has an area of 45 meters and a width of 9. What is the length? So basically what's happening here is we know that the area of the rectangle has to equal 45. We also know that the width is 9 and we're trying to find the length. So basically you're just looking what times 9 will equal 45. So 45 equals 9 times X. Dividing both sides by 9, 45 divided by 9 is 5. Number 8, in a parallelogram, the perimeter is 32 feet. If X is 3 times as large as Y, what is the value of X in feet? So if X is equal to 3 times Y, I'm going to replace X with just 3Y. So 3Y on top, 3Y on bottom. To do perimeter, I add everything up. So 3Y plus Y plus 3Y plus Y has to equal 32. So 3Y plus Y plus 3Y plus Y is 8Y equals 32. Dividing by 8 gives me an answer of 4. However, that is what the value of Y equals. I'm looking for the value of X, which is 3 times Y. So 3 times 4 is 12. Option D. So just be careful. They're purposely making you find the value of X in hopes that you forget that you need to multiply it by 3. All right, moving on. Let's hop to number 9. Go, number 9. Which of the following value represents the circumference of a circle with radius 1 over pi? Well, the circumference formula is 2 pi r. The radius is 1 over pi, so 2 pi times 1 over pi. Well, this, remember, is technically over 1, any kind of whole number like that. So if pi is in the top and in the bottom, it will actually cancel. So 2 times 1 is 2. So your circumference is 2. Whenever you have problems involving area and circumference, things like that, write the formula down. It will save you a bunch of time. It'll kind of guide you and help you. Number 10, if the area of the square is 16, what is the value of tangent of x? So right here, the area, so I'm going to square root, I get 4. That means that all of the sides of the square are 4. It also lets me know that this is 90. If you're unsure if you did it right, you can always do 4 times 4. That gives you 16. So square rooting it, as long as it's a square, you can square root the area and it will give you the sides. Next, we want to know the tangent. Well, according to this, across the 90 is h, opposite of x is o. By default, this is a. So the tangent of x is equal to the opposite over adjacent. So 4 over 4, which reduces to 1. Okay, number 11. The length of a rectangle is 5 times the width. What is represented as the perimeter? So in this picture, the length is 5 times the width. So here's my width. My length is 5 times that. What is the perimeter? Now I'm not going to multiply them because that would be area, but I do know that this will be width and this would be 5 widths. So I'm just going to add 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1. Well, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So 12W is represented as perimeter. Sketching pictures will guide you and make this a little bit easier. Number 12, the circles are centered at points B and D and their tangent at C. That just lets you know that these circles aren't overlapping each other. Each circle has an area of 49. Oh, sorry, I hit my camera on my podium. Okay. So each has an area of 49. What is the length of AE? So we're actually looking for the 2 diameters added together. But we do know the area of the circle is 49 pi. Well, if the area is 49 pi, and I know the area formula for a circle is pi r squared, I'm I'm going to replace area with what the area equals. Dividing both sides by pi, the pi's will cancel on both ends. So I'm left with 49 equals radius squared. When I square root both sides, I'm left with a radius of 7, which means this radius is 7, and so is this one. But we know also that each circle has the same area, so these are also 7 and 7. So to find the length of that segment, I'm just going to add all of my radii together. 7 plus 7, 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 28, option B. Okay, number 13. Oh, sorry, I dropped my pen. In the following figure, we've got a length that is 3 centimeters, so AB is 3. It tells us that this is a parallelogram, so I know that this is also 3. BC is 7, so by default, this is also 7. What is the perimeter? All we're going to do is add. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus another 10 is 20. 14. In the figure below, tangent of x is 8 over 3. So remember, it's opposite over adjacent. So we know this is a rectangle. It told us. So we can put 90 here. Opposite of x is 8. The adjacent side would be 3. We're looking for the area of the rectangle. This distance is 8. Okay. Now, the distance of this whole bottom is actually 3 plus 2, which is 5. So be very careful. If you just do 8 times 3, you're going to get an answer of 24, which is incorrect. So you're actually going to end up doing 8 times 5 for length times width to get an answer of 40. Okay, number 15. We're just trying to calculate the total area of the shape. So 20 times 20 is 400. So whenever I do these problems, I like to just kind of draw on the picture and put my area in there. It makes it a little bit easier. This one has a length of 40, but it's not by 20, it's by 30, because this distance is 10. So 40 times 30 is 1,200. Okay. And down here, right here, I know that this is 20, but I also know that this whole thing is 40. So that makes this length 20. It also has to add up to 60. So 60 minus 40 is 20. So 20 times 10 is 200. So I'll be adding 400, 1,200, and 200 together to get an area of 1,800. Drawing on your picture is your best bet to do these problems quickly as well as correctly. So use your picture. Number 16. In square centimeters, the area of the rectangle, what is the area of the rectangle with a diagonal of 25 and a width of 15? So I'm going to draw my rectangle. I know that the diagonal measurement is 25, and I know that the width is 15. Well, I can't find the area unless I also know the length. So doing this problem, I got x squared plus 15 squared equals 25 squared. So x squared plus 225 equals 625. When I subtract 225, I get 400. Square rooting both sides gives me 20. So this measurement is 20. So 20 times 15 is 300. So my answer is D. Now, you could do this a lot faster if you recognize special right triangles. So I know that 3, 4, 5 is the basic special right triangle. Well, the hypotenuse here is 25. 15 clearly corresponds to the 3 because there's no way I could get 15 when multiplying with 4. Well, 3, 4, 5, to get to 25, I just multiply by 5. So 4 times 5 is 20, which is this distance. So it depends on how you want to do it. You can use special right triangles or you can use just Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is a surefire bet to do it right. You might not recognize the 3, 4, 5 trait, so that really just depends on what you're comfortable with. All right, number 17. Oh, I've got some pencil stuff here. All right, number 17. Okay. In the following figure, we've got a rectangle in the center with 2 congruent right triangles. What is the area of the quadrilateral? Well, if this is 2, this is 2, 3, and 3. This full distance here is 3 plus 2 plus 2, which is 7. So the area formula for a trapezoid is 1/2 Base 1 plus base 2 times height. So 1/2. Base 1 is 3, base 2 is 7, and the height is 2. So 1/2 times 7, or times 10 times 2 will give me an answer of 10. You could do the area of the rectangle, area of a triangle, multiply it by 2, or you can just use the area of a trapezoid formula. 18, in square units, what is the area of a circle if the circumference is 6 pi? Well, we're trying to find the area, which is pi r squared, and it tells me the circumference is 6 pi. Well, the circumference formula is also 2 pi r, so I'm going to replace circumference with 6 pi. If I divide both sides by 2 pi, it cancels here. The pi's will also cancel here. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so our radius is 3. So when I'm calculating the area, 3 squared is 9. Pi is brought down, so the answer is C. To do these problems, the hardest part is just remembering to write the formula. If you write the formula, this becomes a whole lot easier, but you need to write the formula down to kind of see where to substitute. Number 19. Sorry, let me do that. Number 19, which of the following expressions represents the circumference of a circle with radius x? Well, the circumference formula, again, is 2 pi r. The radius is x, so 2 times x is 2x, and pi goes on the end, which is option C. Using the pi times diameter formula isn't going to help because it gives you a radius, so that might make it a little bit harder. All right, number 20. One leg of a right triangle, let me go ahead and draw a right triangle. One leg of a right triangle is 3 times the length of the other. So that means that one of them is x and the other one is 3x. The hypotenuse is 10. What is the perimeter? Now, notice in your answer choices that there are no x's, which means we actually have to solve, oh my goodness, I did it again, I'm sorry. This means we actually have to solve for the measure of the side lengths. Well, we don't know them. If we don't know measures of sides of right triangles, we use Pythagorean theorem. So x squared is going to stay x squared. 3x raised to the 2, 3 raised to the 2 is 9. X raised to the 2 is x squared. And 10 squared is 100. Combining these, I'm going to get an answer of 10x squared equals 100. Divide by 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10. And when I square root both sides, my x measurement is the square root of 10. I know that that's correct because that's in my answer. Now I'm going to find the perimeter. So I have to go back to my triangle. I know that the hypotenuse is 10. This bottom measurement is 3 times x. And we just found x to be the square root of 10. So 3 times the square root of 10 is just 3 square root of 10. This distance here is x, so that means that this distance here is the square root of 10. So to find perimeter, we're just going to add all those pieces up. So 10 plus 3 square roots of 10 plus 1 square root of 10 is 4 square roots of 10. So the correct answer is E, 10 plus 4 square roots of 10. Be careful, this first answer choice is the value of x. This B answer choice is if you just add the 2 legs together. C is representing the hypotenuse. So E is the correct answer here. In the following figure, the area of the square is 16. What is the circumference? Well, again, area of the square root of 16 is 4. So that's what lets me know that all of these measurements are 4. If I want the circumference, it is 2 pi radius. My radius measurement is also 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Pi gets brought down for an answer of C. All right, number 22. We're getting there. I know this worksheet is long, but that's okay. All right, number 22. In the circle figure below, we've got a center of 0. In square centimeters, what is the area of the shaded region? So the area of the unshaded region, so the area of the open circle here, is pi r squared. So pi times 2 squared is 4 pi. Now, the area of the big shaded region, this distance is also 2. So my total radius is 2 plus 6, which is 8. So when I'm doing my area of a circle, I need to use 8 as my radius. So now I'm going to do the area of the shaded part minus the area of the open. So 64 pi minus 4 pi is 60 pi. Option E. 23. The length of the diagonal of a rectangle is 20 feet. So I'm going to start, draw a rectangle, draw the diagonal, and put a 20. Notice how I'm sketching the picture as I go. It makes it a lot easier. If the width of the rectangle is 12, what is the area? Well, in order to do area, again, I need length times width. So I'm going to do x squared plus 12 squared equals 20 squared. So x squared plus 144 equals 400. When I subtract 144, I'm going to get an answer of, let me see here, 400 minus 144 is 256. When I square root both sides, I get an answer of 16. So length times width would be 12 times 16 for an answer of 192. Once you find the length and the width, you don't use the 20 anymore. You're just using it for Pythagorean theorem. Number 24, in inches, what is the perimeter of the rectangle with width 4, length 10? Well, if it's a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So 10 plus 4 is 14, plus another 14 is 28. Perimeter, there's no special formula. It's just me adding all the sides together. 25, in the following figure, the area of the circle is 29 pi over 4. Given AB's length is 2, what is the area of the circle? Okay, so in this problem, we don't necessarily know if this is a 45, 45, 90, so we cannot assume that it's a 45, 45, 90. So I need to know what the radius is. In order for me to be able to find the area of this triangle, I need to know this length, but I really have nothing to go with. It does tell me, though, that the area of the whole circle is 29 pi over 4. So remember, the area formula for a circle is pi r squared. So the area is 29 pi over 4 equals pi times radius squared. I do know that. Okay. When I divide both sides by pi, and divide by pi, the pi's actually do cancel. So I'm left with 29 over 4 for radius squared. Okay. I got to square root this. So the square root of 29 over the square root of 4 will simplify to the square root of 29 over 2. That distance is my radius. Okay, so that means that this distance is the square root of 29 over 2, square root of 29 over 2. Now, in order for me to find the length of the height of the circle, this measurement here that I'm trying to find, I know that this distance is 2. I'm just pulling this triangle down. However, notice that this distance here is the hypotenuse of this circle. I need both of those to find the hypotenuse. Okay? So square root of 29 over 2 plus the square root of 29 over 2 is 2 square roots of 29 over 2. The square roots will cancel, giving me a hypotenuse of the square root of 29. Now I can do Pythagorean theorem. So again, I know that this problem is very tedious. This would most likely, on a real ACT, this would most likely be given towards the end because it does take a little while to do. But once you solve it, it's really not that bad. It's just a lot of math. So we've got the square root of 25 to be 5. So now in order to do my area of the triangle, it's 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, base is 2, height is 5. 1/2 times 2 is 1, times 5 is 5. So the correct answer is C. Again, that problem is big. I mean, it's a hefty problem. There's a lot going on there. You do have to simplify the square root to make it easier on yourself. But again, it's nothing you can't do. It just takes some time. All right, number 26. Go ahead and turn the page here. All right, number 26. The area of a circle is 8 pi. What is the radius of the circle? So to do this problem, again, I'm going to write down the area formula. So area equals 8 pi, but the area is also equal to pi r squared, which means I'm going to sub it in here. So 8 pi equals pi r squared. Divide by pi. Those pi's will cancel. I'm left with 8 equals radius squared. So the square root of 8 is equal to r. However, not an answer choice because it's not simplified. I can break the square root of 8 into the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. The square root of 4 is 2, square roots of 2. And that's going to be your radius. So you do have to simplify your radical. Make sure you are simplifying to make this easier. Number 27, in the following figure, ABC is a triangle such that M is the midpoint of AB and N is the midpoint of AC, which means this length and this length are the same, and this length and this length are the same. I know that this looks like a square. They purposely make it look like a square so you think that the distance of AB, which is what you're trying to find, we're trying to find this distance. They want you to think that it's 6, okay? But because it looks like a square, it's not a square. All right, so from here, I've got 3 and 3, so I know that this distance is 6. I do know the area of the triangle is 12. So area is 1/2 base times height. The area is equal to 12, it told me here. My base is 6 times height. Well, half of 6 is 3. Dividing both sides by 3 would give me an answer of 4. So my height distance of A to B is 4. Be careful, it's not a square. It just looks like one. They're doing it to trick you. 28, in the following figure, the square of ABCD is inscribed. What is the area of the circle? Well, to find the area of the circle, you actually need to know the radius, and I don't know the radius at this point. Since I have two sides that are equal, I know that this is a 45, 45, 90, and I'm actually trying to solve for the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse equals the leg times the square root of 2. The leg measurements in this case are 3. So the hypotenuse is 3 square roots of 2. Well, the radius, that's the full length. The radius is half of that length. So I have to do 3 square roots of 2 divided by 2 because I only want this measurement. So I have to divide it in half. So pi times radius squared. It wants the area. So pi times 3 square roots of 2 over 2 squared. This is testing to make sure you can use your exponent rules. So I need to raise the 3 to the 2, so 3 squared is 9. The square root of 2 times 2 is 2. 2 raised to the 2 is 4. So pi equals 18 over 4, which again does simplify. 18 over 4 does reduce to 9 over 2, and pi is along for the ride. So the answer is E. Again, you do have to use special right triangles. You are dealing with square roots. Nothing you can't do. It just takes some time. Almost finished. Number 21, in square units, what is the area of an equilateral triangle? Okay, an equilateral triangle with lengths of 6. So I'm trying to find the area. Well, I know all these sides are 6. In an equilateral triangle, the height will bisect the base. And what that ends up doing is creating, I know that this is 3, me trying to find a height. So this is bisected, half of 6 is 3. In order for me to find the area, I have to do Pythagorean theorem because I need to know the height. X squared plus 3 squared equals 6 squared. So 36 minus 9 is 27. The square root of 27 doesn't simplify, so we're just going to leave it square root of 27 for now. Okay, so that is the height distance. So 1/2, my base is all of this. My base is 6. And my height is the square root of 27. Half of 6 is 3, so I get 3 square roots of 27. Not an answer choice. So the square root of 27 can be broken up into 9 times 3. So the square root of 9 is 3, so I'm left with 3 times square root of 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, square roots of 3. I'm going a little bit quicker through the simplifying radicals because we've spent plenty of time doing it. It's something we should do by now. So for an equilateral triangle, the height will bisect the base, which gives you a right triangle to help you find height. Number 30, if the area of the semicircle is 8 pi, what is the perimeter of the whole shape? Okay, so we want the perimeter of the whole shape. So the area of a semicircle, of half a circle, we are still using pi r squared, but we're technically dividing everything by 2 because it's half of a circle. It tells you that right here, our full area of this semicircle is 8 pi equals pi r squared over 2 times 2 on both sides to clear it. I'm left with 16 pi equals radius squared. Oh, 6 and pi. I'm going to bring pi down. I'm going to divide both sides by pi, causing them to cancel. So 16 equals radius squared. Square rooting 16 gives me 4. So my radius measurement from here to here is 4, which means my distance around my square is actually 8. All the sides are 8. Now, that's part of it. Okay, so when we're doing perimeter, we're doing the perimeter of the whole shape. So I'm going to be doing the perimeter. I'm going to add 8 plus 8 plus 8. I am not going to add this here because that is not part of the outside of the shape. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. So I can at least break it down into options options B or D. This distance is the distance of part of the square. Okay? Now, obviously, looking at the answer choices, we never square pi. So obviously, D is out. But we want to make sure. The circumference of a semicircle is 2 pi r, but I want to divide it in half because I only want half, which means the 2's cancel. So my new circumference for my semicircle is pi times the radius. And in this case, the radius is 4 pi, which is option B. So the distance around this portion of the shape is 4 pi. So remember, this problem is tricky. You want to make sure you're adding the correct numbers. Very last problem. What is the area of the sector if AB is 30? Well, that is our angle because this angle is also 30. So area of a sector is the area of a circle times an angle over 360. The angle over 360 will just kind of break the circle up into a portion, and I only want 30 degrees. So pi times 12 squared times 30 over 3 is 60. 12 squared is 144. So if I'm going to do this in my calculator, the way that it gets typed is 12 squared times 30 over 360. I get a whole number of 12. Pi goes at the end. So remember, you're just typing this portion in. Oh, that cut off the 1. You're just typing that portion in to help you. Okay? So the answer is C.